What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my demands. Like and subscribe. So, someone on the internet has done something that is very important, I would say, to the future of video games. Now, Oh No, It's Alex did a video about it. I think it was today. And basically, someone recompiled Sonic Unleashed, the 360 version, for the PC. Now, let me explain what that means in my way, because I'm a layman for the most part, but I understand what it is, and I'm gonna try to explain it so that you could kind of understand too. So, when game devs make games, you have to compile it into a package that is a playable thing, basically. So, say you're in the game maker and you say, "Oh, I think the game's done." There's a big old button. I don't know if it's a button, but whatever. Yeah, it's in the menu, whatever. Press compile, and that compile puts the game together. Bloop, 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 bloop. And then, boom, you can play the game. Makes it executable. So, what has happened is someone on the PC side, just a modder or whatever, they took the 360 code that works on the Xbox 360, a console, and recompiled the code to work on PC. Now, some people are like, isn't that just a port? That's where my knowledge kind of, I don't understand. But what I gleaned from it is that, oh, wait, if they can compile a game, Sonic Unleashed in this respect, then the possibility of a company, let's just say Microsoft, using the same technique to make, I don't know, their next gen Xbox games also PC games, you know what I'm saying? So if they do I don't know if it's a recompilation era, not a compilation as in but a recompiling layer, then it would just automatically take their new game and say, here's a PC version. Just a click of a button, basically. And the possibilities that this affords is amazing because, well, like I said, Alex did a video, but he was mainly focused on backwards compatibility, which is what that was. And remember, or if you don't remember, think about it this way. When you recompile, like Sonic Unleashed, for example, when they recompiled it, it gives you a whole bunch of options, PC options that were not available before, you know, resolution, frame rate, filtering, all these different things that PCs can do that consoles can't do. And that's possible with, you know, newer technology, obviously, but also the nature of PC. And so this opens up a whole new possibility of what the next Xbox will be. Now, the Xbox Home, it changes things, because you could be like, okay, well, they can make whatever kind of console they want. I mean, obviously make it easy enough for it to be able to be recompiled onto PC easily. And with that, if they do that, then an APU may not be the best option. Now, an APU is cheaper as far as console goes, but if you guys didn't know, the 360 wasn't an APU. It had a CPU and a GPU. It had a bespoke GPU. It was an NVIDIA. I don't remember what the equivalent was that the graphics chip in the 360 was, but it was NVIDIA basically. And I think the PC, the CPU was a PowerPC, I believe. I can't remember. But the point is, it wasn't an APU. It was a CPU and a GPU all on one motherboard, and boom, 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 right? So I'm like, yes, it's more expensive because you're dealing with two chips, or is it? I think it would be more expensive because, and also, I mean, if you think about it, the 360 was so much easier than the PS3, obviously, because PS3 was just crazy, right? But if Microsoft goes back to that, right? They go back to CPU, GPU instead of bespoke, because for one, they're going to add an NPU in there as well. And so how does an APU deal with an NPU? Yes, they're in laptops, of course. But would it be easier? Well, yes, it would be easy for devs, especially on the PC side, to do a CPU, GPU, NPU console versus an APU, NPU console, because the CPU, GPU console is closer to PC. And that's probably why 360 games are probably easier to recompile into a PC, because it's super similar as far as the architecture goes. Now, the I/O, that's a whole nother thing. Who knows? But, if you... I don't know. That's where my knowledge kind of runs out of knowledge. But, like, the possibility of Xbox having a hybrid console makes more sense. The whole backwards compatibility, or what Sarah Bond was talking about, backwards compatibility, backwards and forwards compatibility. I'm like, so wait, if they apply this recompiling technique to backwards compatibility, we see it with Sonic Unleashed. They're like, okay, it works. That's cool. But also forwards. I'm like, wait, forward? What do you mean forward? It's like, oh, you're just taking whatever code that exists for the next Xbox and make it a PC. Now, before I was like, they just need to make it so that it's just one code, it's a PC version, and that's it. And I'm like, if they do I keep saying that, a recompiling layer for all the, like, make it part of the APU basically, and say, all right, the SDK has this in there. You do the next Xbox version, and you press a button, it automatically does a PC version. And you can tweak it, of course, because it's a PC, but that would be ideal. This is the future. The future's happening right in front of us. Now, is Sony going to do that? Probably not, because they want to sell you different versions and remakes and remasters. That's their business model. Is that something that you guys want? You want to say, oh yeah, I want to buy it again, so I can fund Sony's next the whatchamacallit, intergalacticals. Yeah, Sony needs money, so I have to buy all the crappy games I already played again, even though it looks exactly the same. But I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna play it. It's crazy. It's like things are happening right now. That recompiling thing, Sonic Unleashed. I don't know how many people realize how big a deal that is. Whether or not Xbox is doing something like that, I will hope that they're doing something like that, because it seems like that was a really good, cool thing, and it works, and it's really cool, and I would like, let's go do that, please. Even though I'm not a PC gamer like that, still it represents like the possibility, like I said, of the forward compatibility, or just the ease of porting games over to PC without, and in that respect, devs have nothing to cry about. I mean, they will cry about something, because that's the nature of dev, and maybe they get a paycheck from Sony to cry about stuff. That seems to be also a thing that happens. Like, oh my gosh, they make up stuff. Oh my gosh, the Xbox Series S is holding back everything. It's so hard. It's like, is that really what's going on, or did Sony give you a check? Just saying. I think that's what happens a lot more so than the truth, because Sony's in the business of propaganda. They're taking a lot of cues and lessons from Russia. Russia's propaganda machine. They do it really well. So does China. I think Russia might be better at it, but Sony does that too. And that's what this whole generation is based off of, this propaganda. It's like, oh, so the PlayStation's better. It's like, technically it wasn't. PlayStation 5 was not better than the Xbox Series X. And that's why I think D-Batch and people like him have such a hard-on for the PlayStation. I mean, the PixelTech 5 Potato, because it is more powerful than the Xbox Series X. Finally, not by much, but it is, and so they can actually say it with the bird chest sticking out, and you know they can brag about. I mean, is that something you want to brag about? Whatever, it's just ridiculous. And the PixelTech 5 Potato has no games to play, so what's the point of even having it to play Xbox games at the... Okay, sure. If that means you're going to buy Xbox games on PlayStation, okay. Make these games sell. Xbox likes to have high-numbered sale games and stuff. I mean, whatever. Anyway, it's really... I mean, they're going to run out of steam. The Ponies and Knocking Unicorns, because Concord was the biggest failure in the world, and Jim Ryan, and I always gotta slip that in, because PlayStation is going to follow the same playbook. They're going to, I mean, they're already third party. Let's not be real. And everybody's saying, well, Xbox is third party. Xbox gave up. PlayStation gave up too. They're just playing the role. They're trying to act like they didn't give up. Why do you think the PixelTech 5 Potato costs $700 minimum, $850 something actually? Why do you think it costs so much? Because they want everyone to buy one. They want to reach 200 million consoles sold. They don't want to do that. They want to make as much money as possible, any means necessary. And so they said, not a lot of people are going to buy this, so we're going to make this for the whales. They know it's not something that is a mass market product, because it doesn't offer enough for the casual consumer to say, ooh, that's worth another $500. Let me go buy that. That's how not good it is. And so they're like, we gotta inflate the price to make it seem like it's worth a lot, because it's so much money. And people fall for that. They were like, oh wow, it's expensive, it must be good. Those are people who have a lot of money and don't know what the hell they're doing. Like, how did you? Oh, I inherited it. I have a trust fund. So a trust fund, baby. Okay, well, go get a potato if you want. But it's already happening. PlayStation. Hiroki Totoki is saying it. PlayStation's doing it. The fact that these Donkey Unicorns and Ponies are in denial, deep. They're in the river and they're in denial. That it's a matter of time. They're behind. I mean, Sony's lagging behind when it comes to what Xbox is doing. So the whole thing about how Sony's approaching this is kind of, I think it might bite them in the ass eventually. But Microsoft is doing all the work right now, and they're getting all the flack or whatever, but mainly from Donkey Unicorns and Ponies, not so much casuals. Casuals don't care. So Microsoft is doing their own thing, getting it over with, ripping the Band-Aid off, right? And people keep saying, oh, I wish Microsoft would just tell us, blah, blah, blah. They have been. They are. The people who aren't speaking is Sony. Sony's not saying nothing. PlayStation is silent. They're not telling you nothing. So you look at Microsoft, they're like, yo, this is what's happening. Yo, you're going to see some logos. Yo, boom, boom, boom. You know where you stand. If you don't like it, go kick rocks. Go play on something. Like I said, TurboGrafx, Super TurboGrafx 59, man. Get your Atari 12800. 12800? You know what I'm saying? Do that. Instead of crying like a BI. Do that. Meanwhile, I'm going to tell you, the future is Sony will follow suit. They will. They will eventually put games on Xbox day and date, just like they're doing it with the Switch, just like they're doing with PC. PC is a foregone conclusion. I'm going to say most games are going to be day and date, or soon after. They'll probably try to adopt like the DVD. Like when it comes out in a movie, then 3 months later it comes out on Blu-ray or whatever, or streaming or whatever. They're going to try to probably adopt that, because what Sony likes to do, which is, sure, it's a way to do things. They like to adopt the movie stuff. Since they are a movie studio and an animation studio, they like to adopt some of those things. Speaking of that, they like to adopt things. They created a visual art studio, I believe it was called. Visual artist studio. That's what it was called. That's what it is called, excuse me. And that was the studio created to make all these cinematic type of cutscenes and such for these games that they were making. It started in towards the end of the PS3 era. I can't remember what year exactly, but that's when it started, and that's when you see these games pop up. I remember when they said, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, that's a pretty, yeah, that's a good idea." Microsoft has something similar, but not exactly like that. But I guess, I don't know how many people, but there were some firings over at PlayStation, at Sony, and that studio was affected. The visual arts studio, the studio that makes all these pretty cutscenes and such for all these bangers, all these bangers from PlayStation. So what does that mean? Smaller staff means smaller games. Also means less quality, or I would say less of the cinematicness of the games that you love, the things that you like. I told you they're going to be scaling down those games. They're going to be scaling down those type of games, and the games themselves are going to be scaled down. That's why they fired all these people, because it's like, y'all don't make a game, y'all just do cutscenes. Man, get your asses out. Get out. But cookies. Jim Ryan no. Those are stale anyway. But we had them in the freezer. You could take the cookies, but also take all your shite, get the hell out of here, because you ain't got no job no more. Now, well, it's bad when people lose their job, but Sony is cutting and trimming. They're figuring out where they don't need people. They're figuring out what kind of games that they're going to make in the future. They're figuring out a lot of things. And all these moves that we're seeing, firings, canceling of games, all these things, is an indication of the future of PlayStation. The type of games you're going to get, the type of flavor, the type of quality and duration, length, all these things. And it all points toward smaller, cheaper, less of the games that you are expecting. I mean, honestly, I'm going to say they may be 2, maybe 3 per generation. Now, this generation, what did we get? Is Ghost of Yotei coming? I don't know if Ghost of Yotei counts, because that's like a PlayStation 4 game. That looks like a PlayStation 4 game. So I'm gonna be like, you know what? That barely counts. I'm gonna say, Now, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, whatever it's called. I haven't seen any gameplay, so I can't really tell. We'll see what it is. If it's more on the line, in the lines of The Last of Us, then sure, maybe. But there's not gonna be a bunch of bangers like that. Like, what's the next God of War look like? You know, or what? I guess Cory Barlog's his next game, that'll be one of them. So maybe Intergalactic and Cory's game. Anything else? I don't know. I don't think so. And you're not gonna see it until next gen anyway. And also, I think they'll probably use a lot of AI help to get these games under budget, so that they can seem like they're still of the same quality, but they're using a lot of AI help, if you will. AI, I was gonna say AI crutches, but it's not exactly accurate. But I don't know. I mean, like, the future is interesting in a bunch of different aspects. You know, the whole Sega with the Xbox and blah blah blah, all that stuff. I'm like, yes. All the backwards forwards compatibility, I'm like, yes. How they leverage that, how they leverage AI. Alex did have a good point about recompiling, using AI to help recompile. I'm like, that's a good idea. It would speed things up. Then they can go boom, and then, well, I mean, honestly, I think it's similar. Look, Xbox is probably the leader in backwards compatibility. At least their program was so good. They were knocking thousands of games they did. And it's ridiculous. And I'm like, yo, and they play so good. You know, that's how you want those old games to be, like, preserved and and like kept available to play. And I'm glad that they're reviving that movement, because you know we got a whole bunch of games this gen, and like imagine Avowed, right? I'm playing it now, it's dope, but I'm playing it on 60 frames, right? And it's dope. It's like smooth frame rate. I don't see any frame drops. Not really. I'm not looking for them either, but it doesn't feel like there are any frame drops. But the visuals are, there's some crazy artifacting going on, especially with the shadows. I think it's the GI, the global illumination, how they're using it. But imagine that on next gen with like full ray tracing, blah blah blah, 60 frames. I'm like, yes please, because it already looks beautiful. There's no popping. It's just great. I gotta put it back on 30 frames on quality mode. I want to see what it looks like again. I switched it thinking I was gonna switch it back to quality, but it's so smooth, and especially when you're fighting, I was like, man. And I was listening to Sean today, and he was talking about a weapon, a couple of different weapons, two-handed swords. One with the flame. He was talking about that with Dirt before, but there's another one that I think freezes, and it does a bunch of stun things, and it like does mad damage. It's like 236 damage or something like that, plus, you know, buffs and all that. I was like, shoot, I need to find that. But that's like, I'm still in the first area. He's in the third. I'm like, he's way ahead of me. I think did he say he was level 880? I don't know if he was that high. No, he said he was going to do 80 hours probably. I forgot what level he said he was, but I'm not even close to that. So I got to put in some hours on Avowed. But, you know, these games, this gen, that are coming out like the latter half of the gen are bangers, and they will, doing forwards compatibility on all these games it's going to be so good. It's going to be, I mean, these games are already great, but it's just going to be just that much better. So like, I'm looking at the future of video games on the Xbox side. I'm like, yo, future's bright. PlayStation, not so much. Your future is uncertain. Anyway, I appreciate you hanging out. Like and subscribe. Hit me up in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the whole Sonic Unleashed recompiling, crazy PC stuff. Do you think that Microsoft might leverage that type of technology or that type of compiling, porting for their new Xbox games, the next-gen Xbox games, to be easily compatible with PC games, Steam, Linux, because it goes across Linux and Windows, so it's like everything. It's so cool. But anyway, I catch y'all on the next one too. The wait.